Am I the asshole for refusing to get my in-laws anything for Christmas to prove a point to my husband? Been together 9 years, 29 female, 30 male, have 2 kids. I absolutely adore my in-laws. They are fantastic people and I get along with them swimmingly. My family is far from perfect and raised me in a very toxic environment, so having positive people like my in-laws in my life has been a godsend. However, because my husband knows how toxic my family was when I was growing up, he refuses to include them in anything. This is the only downfall in our marriage. They have never done him wrong or done myself wrong for years either, but he doesn't give a shit. Just completely disregards that they even exist. We get his family something for Christmas every year, as well as spending the eve and day with them every year. Mine is lucky to get a "Merry Christmas" text. Now, my sister is almost 18 and just found out she is pregnant. She's against abortion and did use a condom, which obviously broke. She lives with her BF's parents, who have made both her and her BF's lives a complete hell since finding out. My sister and her boyfriend both worked part-time and went to school, but after his parents found out they were pregnant, made their son drop out of school and get a full-time job. He was 4 months from getting all credits to graduate. They also upped their rent from $400 a month to $800 a month, even though their rent is only $950 for a 6-bedroom house and they can't use any of the spare rooms, plus they have to buy their own food, pay the internet and electric bill, not included in their rent, can't take showers all but once a week to save on water, and basically are limited to their bedroom. They practically have to ask to take a piss. They have even deliberately made my sister feel like shit by saying they want carting her ass around to any appointments for free. Knowing this info, I wanted to get her something for the baby, knowing that there was no way in hell they could afford one living under her BF's parents' roof. I wanted to buy her a crib. The same one I had for my kiddos. The one that changes into a toddler bed and then a day bed it grows with the baby. She could use it for years. It was only $199 on sale. I purchased mine for $699. So I told my husband I wanted to buy it and he lost his shit. Said that he wasn't going to break the bank to support a child having a child, and said, she decided to have a baby. She can go get a job and buy a crib. It's not my job to give her gifts. Mind you, I work full-time, more hours than him by a long shot, but he works salary and technically makes more. I was livid, I'll admit, and immediately snapped back with, well, looks like we will be crossing mommy and daddy off the Christmas list because they have jobs and can buy their own gifts. Since that conversation I have held the same tune. Though he claims this is entirely different and that I'm an asshole for trying to compare the two, Christmas gifts, baby gifts. Am I the asshole?
Not the asshole. As it turns out, you don't need your husband's permission to buy your sister this very thoughtful, useful gift. You work full-time, so you can afford it yourself. Your husband is being really shitty and completely unreasonable about this. Talk about toxic. I think you should ignore your husband and buy your sister a crib. Then I think you need to ignore the devil on your shoulder and select gifts for your in-laws. If purchasing gifts for family is a task you usually do, then do it and tell him to butt out. You are eventually going to have this fight. Stick to your guns, do the right thing, and go ahead and have it.
Not the asshole. Even if he hadn't had a history with your parents and ignoring your side of the family, this is awful. Why would he be such a jerk to your sister? Will you never be able to buy her anything? He sounds like a complete jerk. I totally get the point you're trying to make. And this has zero to do with your family being toxic. Does he alienate you from your friends too, or just your family? Oh dear, not the asshole. Is it possible you jumped from one toxic family to another? Because your husband does not sound great here.
NTA. He is off his judgmental rocker. Also, your sister needs to start with a social worker and get general assistance. While she's a minor, there is other assistance she can get for herself and baby.
Info. Is there a way to help your sister and her boyfriend find a place to rent of their own? If they are paying $800 plus a month to his parents, maybe they can afford something else and then not have to deal with his parents? I'm shocked I have to ask this, but why do you need your husband's permission to spend money? Especially such a relatively low amount? Not the asshole, buy the crib. Not the asshole. It's not your husband's place to dictate your relationship with your family. If you want to cut them off, fine, and if you want them in your life, also fine. His role should be to support whatever decision you make, especially since they haven't done anything to him. He's being controlling and needs to own up to the fact that if this small gesture is important to you, it should be important to him.
Not the asshole, your husband is awful towards your family. TBH, I feel like y'all should do therapy for this.
Not the asshole, $200 is roughly what most siblings would spend on a baby gift.
Unfortunately, it looks as though you've subbed out your toxic family for a toxic husband. He's trying to control your money that you would spend on a very thoughtful gift. You're trying to break the cycle of abuse by helping your sister, and if your husband can't see that, then this isn't about cutting out toxic family members. He's just using that as an excuse. Not the asshole, but you would be if you decide against the crib because your husband demands it.
Not the asshole, that's a fantastic deal on a crib, go buy it.
You're not the asshole for the comparison, it absolutely is the same. You're getting someone you love a gift. But what did Mill and Phil do? Cheeky smiley face, just tell hubby he's being an ass and you're getting your sister a Christmas present.
Not the asshole. You two could have communicated better, but he expects you to buy his family things while ignoring your own. The environment your parents created isn't the fault of your sister, and extending an olive branch and a helping hand to someone that needs it is entirely reasonable.
Not the asshole. Something doesn't sit well with your husband. Does he lack empathy? Does he just want to control you? Is he just stingy? You can still support your sister and buy the crib. Maybe tell your in-laws why they're not getting a gift this year. Good luck. Not the asshole, your husband is in a $.
Not the asshole. Turns out, he knows exactly what toxic is.
Not the asshole. Weird, he is using your family's past toxic behavior as an excuse to be toxic himself. It seems from your post you are in a better place with your family now, so I find it strange and also hurtful for you that he is so dismissive of them. Of course big purchases must be talked about, but if you have constantly spent money on gifts for his family for holidays over the years, it's fucked of him to not allow you to do the same. Also, your sister is not just sitting on her ass doing nothing. Her and her partner practically pay the rent for her partner's house and are in a very unsupportive environment.
Not the asshole. She is going to need so much support. I can't imagine how terrified she is. Nightmare situation. Your sister was as impacted by your parents as you were.
Not the asshole, but your husband is a piece of work. Like actually the worst. Why anyone in their right mind would allow a man like that to be a father, but I mean is what it is. Good luck with that crappy human you're legally bound to.
You two need to learn to communicate, including listening and understanding, not making threats. If you want to buy your family gifts, buy them gifts, don't ask your husband. Same goes for your sister. Your husband is correct that it isn't his job to give her gifts, but that doesn't not mean you cannot. Reality though is a crib isn't going to do much for your sister. She is in a bad position for having a baby, her boyfriend is probably going to wind up hating what he is being forced into, and they are not going to be able to dig themselves out of the financial hole they are in at his parents' house. She should consider her options. Why involve your husband's family though? Don't get him a gift if you want to make a point. You should be the one dictating your relationship with your family and whether it's worth repairing. Also, your sister just needs to move. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. My family is pretty fucking toxic, but they are my family and I get to choose what relationship I have with them, not my husband. I just spent $500 on my sister's 30th birthday present because it's a milestone and felt like the right thing to do. My husband obviously isn't a huge fan of my family because they treat me like shit, but he also doesn't try and control my personal relationships no matter who they are with. Your husband needs to pull his head in.
Nat and seconded the therapy advice. He might have good intentions, but one can't live with secondhand hatred for the rest of your life. He needs to work that out. Not the asshole. But I don't see why you can't buy the crib for your sister and also buy gifts for your in-laws. You're punishing your in-laws and yourself since you really love your in-laws when it's your husband you're at odds with. Your husband sounds really controlling. He should support you in how you want to deal with your parents and your sister. If he's mad at how your parents treated you, why is he talking it out on a minor, she's 17, teenage soon-to-be mother? Someone so vulnerable who needs your help.
Buy your sister the crib. Also advise the boyfriend to go back finish the 3-month just for the paper.
Not the asshole. However, you need to sit down and have a talk with your husband. The way your husband treats your family is a direct outcome of what you have let him get away with. I think it is time for you to set up some boundaries and remind him that toxic or non-toxic, he should treat your family with minimal respect and not try to control your finances to this extent.
Side note: your sister and her boyfriend should consider finding their own place. If his parents can rent a 6-bedroom house for $960, then they can surely find a place for less than $800 and get out of that toxic environment. Not the asshole. But don't be the asshole to yourself. If your husband understands the toxic family you came from, he should also support your sister who came from the same background. Your comment saying you haven't been able to see friends in 4 years makes this situation more concerning. If you come from a home with poor boundaries and lacking relationships, you need to make sure you protect yourself from replicating that environment. If you can afford therapy, you could examine how your upbringing has impacted your worldview and current relationship. Moms see their friends. Sisters are allowed to support one either. Good luck.
I don't think this is an issue of your husband overreacting to a genuine problem, your toxic upbringing. I think your husband is controlling you and just genuinely doesn't give a crap about your family or what's important to you. Not the asshole.
NTA.
Not the asshole. It is not your husband's job to hold grudges for you. It is his job to support you in how you want to handle them. I am in the exact same situation as y'all. My wife had it rough growing up and has a complicated relationship with her parents and family. All I have ever done is be a sounding board and supporter. My children are their grandchildren and I want a positive relationship. Sounds like your husband needs to step back and reevaluate his place in this dynamic. Everyone sucks here. The amount that the poor child will suffer. Between ill-prepared parents and being born into a pandemic. A heartbreaking disgrace.
Not the asshole. He is being super controlling and trying to isolate you from your sister, who, as far as I can tell, has never been toxic towards you or him. That's actually quite abusive.
Not the asshole. Not even like £199 is an insanely extravagant amount for Opt to spend on a gift for her sister's baby considering she works full-time.
Not the asshole. My own siblings are not without blemish or stain and I love them and want to help them anyway. Why is punishment the first thing some people think about when young people announce an unexpected pregnancy? She's your sister. Her child will be blood of your own blood. I can't see how the rigid stance does anything but cause more stress in your situation. Not the asshole at all. If he wants to tell you he deems your sister unworthy of your affections and interest, make him say it out loud. And then tell him to get a grip.
Not the asshole. Matter of fact, I'd reconsider the idea that your husband isn't toxic by denying you contact with your family.
Since when is it unheard of to buy someone gifts for their new baby? Especially if that someone is your little sister? Your husband sounds like a complete jerk. Your sister is in a terrible situation and if he can't sympathize with that and understand why you would want to help, fuck him. He's the not you. Not the asshole.
NTA. Honey, you work. You can buy the gift yourself. Your husband has no say in how you spend your money. Take it from someone that was in a financially abusive relationship for years. I worked full-time and he was unemployed. I couldn't spend any of my own money, but he could spend freely. He took control of the bank account. Put a stop to this shit now. Go buy the crib. It's not his money, it's yours.
Not the asshole. Your husband does not get to dictate the type of relationship you have with your own family, especially if you want to foster a healthy relationship with them. I am concerned that he is deliberately isolating you from your own family. Wanting to help your sister who is stuck in a shitty situation by buying her a really essential item for her child is a perfectly normal thing to do. Go ahead and do it, and if your husband wants to talk about boundaries, set your own. Maybe your husband is a great guy normally, but he's doing you a huge disservice here and needs to be checked.
Everyone sucks here. Your husband shouldn't be allowed to dictate who you associate with or how you spend your money. Your response to your husband's asshole behavior is to potentially damage your relationships with your in-laws whom you said are very good to you. Dragging them into this makes this everyone sucks here instead of not the asshole.
You are the asshole. First, this has nothing to do with his family, people you say you like and have been good to you, so leave them out of this. Bringing them in was petty, tit for tat and pretty childish. Your husband most likely hates your family for everything they put you through because he loves you. I would feel the same. It sounds to me like you have joint finances, and herein lies the problem. Your husband probably just doesn't want to spend a load of his money on someone he barely knows or cares about. If you want to buy your estranged sister something out of your money, do it. He can't tell you how to spend your money, but he does have a right not to want to spend his money on her.
I'm not sure who isn't an asshole in this story at some point. Not the asshole. Your sister is in the bed of her own making, but she's not your parents. Unless there is something specific your sister did to cause you pain. If not, he's acting like an R. If you make enough to cover the crib, then get it for them and say it's from you, only. And just because it's for the baby doesn't mean it can't be a Christmas gift.
Not the asshole. Not his job to police your interactions with your family. The fact that he thinks he has the right to us a little worrying. And in any case, it sounds like he's just as judgmental and shitty about your sister's situation as your parents. Hardly sat on the moral high ground as he. Don't play games about your in-laws because it sounds like they've been good to you. And this isn't something you need a precedent or equivalent scenario to justify. Just get the damn gift for your sister, and explain in no uncertain terms that it's not his decision to make, and neither is the level of interaction you have with the rest of your family. I'm going to say mild everyone sucks here. While your husband is free to have whatever opinion he wants about your sister's pregnancy, he doesn't have the right to tell you what to do with the money you earn. It's still a pretty big purchase, so discussing it was the right thing to do, but that doesn't mean he gets full vetoing powers or anything. However, I don't think it's fair to put his parents in the line of fire like that. As you've said, they're perfectly sweet people and they don't deserve to be punished in the name of teaching your husband a lesson. If anything, I'd say don't buy gifts for your husband instead. Or one step better, and make a donation in his name.
Not the asshole. Let your husband live with mommy and daddy and take your sister out of that awful house.
No way this is real.
Your sister really just needs to get an abortion.